Welcome to Refinements. I'm Maria Bele. I'm working as a Scrum Master at King Barcelona. You might know King from Candy Crush. And let's start with the question. Who has ever been in an endless and boring meeting? Show your hands. Of course, we all been there. This is a story of experimentation with processes in my team. With this experiment, we learned how to get rid of this kind of meetings. This is my team. We are in game promo, and we are one of the engineering teams in charge of building features across games. In this case, mainly for promotions. And this story began last February. It was a sunny day in Barcelona. You can imagine tourists were having a wonderful time on a terrace, drinking a beer. When my team was like this. They were very bored in a backlog refinement meeting. At first, I thought it was because of me, because of my Argentinian non-stop talking style. But no, then I realized the reason why. But what is a refinement meeting? Well, for us, it consisted in a 2-hour meeting in which the team analyzed the work to be done during the next sprint. We work with 2 weeks sprints. You can see here Carlos. He's the product owner. He's showing the user stories on the screen one by one, while the team is sitting around a table, asking doubts, and breaking down the user stories in subtasks and providing the estimations. And me, the Scrum Master, was entering these subtasks and estimations into our issue tracking system. As you can see, for example, Saul is in the left corner. He's not sleeping, he's just meditating. But he's quite bored, you can see him. It was quite bored, and we only got 5 user stories refined per hour. Me, I was all the time taking metrics, and we couldn't improve this metric because the participation was quite low. Then we thought with Carlos, how can we improve this meeting? So we came with the idea of how can we make the analysis of the work to be done more engaging, having more team participation, and at the same time, more productive, having more user stories refined. And then we started the first iteration of this experiment, and the implementation was like this. It was no longer a 2-hour meeting, but just 1 hour, celebrated 2 times during this 2 weeks sprint. And we divided the team in 2 groups, with mixed with the specialties they have. And you can see those papers printed on the wall are the user stories with the wireframes attached there. And the team was in charge of talking to each other, asking questions to the product owner and the user experience experts that were rotating through the groups. And they were also in charge of breaking down the user stories with post-its of different colors, depending on the nature of the task. For example, pink for front-end task and yellow for server task. And these same post-its will end up in our team board the following sprint. So at the end of this implementation of this meeting, we measured it. And it was quite surprising for us because we got 17 user stories refined in just 1 hour. We also got high team participation. We got good feedback from the team as well. What did we learn from this phase? We learned that with a more visual format, we can get more attention, and this leads to more productivity. And having a dynamic like this, more engaging, brings more team participation. But we also learned from the feedback of the team that although they liked this format, it was quite hard for them to have too many user stories presented at the same time to refine in just 1 hour. So we thought again, how can we improve this meeting? And we came with the second iteration, with the idea of how can we get rid of this 1 hour meeting? How can we make to present less features at a time? And why don't we make the participation optional? So we implemented what we call the Refinement Café. The Refinement Café was just a 15 minutes time slot fixed. I was controlling the time with just 2 or 3 user stories presented. If we didn't have time to refine the 3 of them, don't worry, we go to another refinement another day. And this refinement meeting was just after the daily stand-up, and this was also important, was another learning, because in this way it was not disruptive for the team. Participation was optional. So we only needed one representative of each specialty in order to make a good level of analysis and a good estimation. So what did we learn from this iteration? We learned that we can have more user stories refined, and at the end of these 9 days of the sprint, if we make it 3 one day, 3 another day, we can get up to 27, and with more level of detail. And at the end, we spend more time in meetings, because if we add 15 minutes plus 15 minutes, we end up with 2 hours and a half. But as we do it in a smaller batches, they do not hurt for the team, and at the same time, we can get more value out of them. And indeed, it was not needed to make it every day, because we don't need so many user stories for the next sprint. Just work just in time, you know? The number of user stories prioritized that will go to the next sprint. We also learned that making participation optional fostered trust within the team, because some member needed to delegate. Okay, you go this day, I keep working on my current implementation. And we also learned that, finally, refinement meetings can be fast and fluid, leaving the team more time to focus on the current work to implement during this sprint. So, to recap, we started with our board refinement meeting of 2 hours, 5 user stories analyzed with poor quality of detail because the engagement was also poor. Then we started the first iteration with the visual format of 1 hour, 17 user stories analyzed, good quality of detail, and high engagement. And the second iteration, the Refinement Café, 15 minutes, 3 user stories that can end up in 27, very good quality of detail, and high engagement. So the main idea I want to share with you is own your processes, and having the feedback of the team and metrics, iterate them. And in this way, your team will be no longer bored, but engaged to catch the next user story. Thank you. Any questions? Can you make it louder, please? The second iteration, you are talking about the Refinement Cafe? Yes?
To refine that nobody goes. Actually, the user story never is refined because nobody attends to the meeting.
Because nobody attends. Okay. This was iterative, you know. So the team was involved in this process. It was part of them. So they really understood the value of making this in small steps, not having just 1 hour with a lot of user stories. So as they understood the value of this, they just agreed to each other who was going to attend that meeting. Okay? So in the daily stand-up, we commented with the team, okay, we want to have refinement today after this stand-up. We have 2 user stories to refine. Who is willing to attend? And we had no problem with this. Okay, the product owner was in charge of, according to the priorities, he was, during the sprint, he's constantly talking with our stakeholders, so he will know the priorities for the next sprint, so he chooses the user stories to be presented. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yes. This sometimes happens that they need to talk to another backend, for example, and they just go and talk to the others. Yeah, there is no problem for that. They are open to make this. Yes.
I have 2 questions. The first one, did the team design this process, these iterations? And the second, did you use this process just for refining the backlog for the following sprint, or also for refining long-term or mid-term backlog?
Okay, the first one, if the team was designing this process, I mean, the ideas for the next iteration came from feedback we received from the team, but the ones in charge of coming with ideas were the product owner and me, and we suggested these ideas, and they said, okay, let's experiment with this, and they give us the go. The second, can you repeat it, please?
Do you use this process just for refining the backlog for the upcoming sprint, or for a long-term vision?
With this, we had problems in the beginning because the product owner was willing to bring more user stories, to have a backlog for 2 or 3, even 3 sprints ahead in the beginning. But then we try to work in this concept of just in time, because what happened in the beginning, if he presented more work for the next sprints, what happened is that then when that sprint started, The user stories were refined long time ago, so the people didn't remember about them. So during the planning, we needed to go back. So it was like very confusing. And apart from that, the thing is that sometimes the priorities change. So it's better to work just in time. Okay, we are out of time. Thank you.